Welcome back. In my editing process, I've made it through my April bots video, but now it's time for the May bots. The April bots were Earth Day bots, and the May bots appears to be the Heist crew. I'm not sure what that's referring to, but there was the Demolition Man 400, the Driver rated 850, the Hacker 1337, the Pickpocket 1850, and Mastermind 2650. As usual, I expect to beat the lower rated bots, the first two, and sometimes I beat the third one. But last time I had trouble with the first two and didn't have time for the third one. I'm going to let the computer choose the colors. No, it's already set it on black. All right, I'll play as black and then we'll switch it up. The Heist crew, Demolition Man rated 400 from the USA, has started with a Knight out. Well, I know it's not E5 because the Knight can just take that. Let's try C5 and see what we can do with that. Okay, now we are in the Sicilian defense. Okay, that's not really what I intended, but I guess it's something that can happen. Oh, and that's next. All right, we're going to get the Knight here now. No, we're going to get the... Wait, am I supposed to take that pawn or is this a gambit? Is this the Smith-Morra gambit? I think we transposed into that, where I take that pawn, and then I don't remember what they do, get the bishop out, and then I take the other pawn, but then they have this bishop out, something like that. I don't remember if I'm supposed to take the pawn or not. Oh my goodness. I'm going to take it, because otherwise, you know, what's the point here? Okay, they got the Knight out. I thought they were supposed to get the bishop out at that point, but it's been a long time since I've played the Smith-Morra gambit. Okay, we've got h4, which is always a little scary, but I was going to develop this bishop and see what happens. Are they going to push it again? If they do, no, they're going to take that pawn. Okay, well, now I can take the Knight for free or take this pawn, because that Knight was guarding that pawn along with the rook, but now it's not. I guess take the Knight. Is that pawn going to push forward now that it's under attack? No, the rook has moved over. I think I can take that pawn safely, and the Demolition Man appears to be playing worse than the low-rated bot last month, in my memory. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I can just bring that back now, and I think this is okay. Maybe I can defend it, or move it. I can move it now, because I'm not worried about the H-pawn coming after it. Let's see, where are there other attacking possibilities coming from? If I move the Knight now, then I've got almost nothing left. If I defend it and they take and I take, I'm not worried about the queen trade because my bishop's defending the queen, so I wouldn't have to move my king. I think I'm going to defend it and see what happens. Because okay, and we're going to trade queens now because I would be okay. I think I'm okay with that. That's what we did. Oh, we've got this fork coming, but not if I keep this here, right? Or I could just tell the Knight politely to leave and see what it does. Oh, it checked me there. Whoops. And now if I come forward, is the rook going to come over here and pin? Well, I'll come forward this way, and if it takes my bishop, I will take. Okay. That didn't seem great on the bot's part. Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to get this Knight out so I can get the other rook out. Well, that's a free rook. I'm going to take it. That's check. And then that's check, and I'm going to win a pawn, looks like. I'm going to win a pawn. I think that's okay. Is it going to keep coming toward me? No, they're going to move some pawns. Okay. I kind of wanted to get this bishop out, but not sure where or how now. Guess I'll go ahead and take this other pawn and try to hold down the fort on the king side. Well, I'm going to take that with the rook. This bot is self-destructing, and it's giving away stuff faster than I can stop it. I guess take it. Now it's got two pawns next to each other close to my king, but I'm going to check. No, I'm not going to check there. I'm going to come after the bishop, and then when it moves, maybe I can check here. Oh, it didn't move. Well, I'll take it. And if they take my Knight, I'm going to take back with the king. I'm going to take back with the king. And let's see. Let's go ahead and check here so we can take that pawn safely. Wait, we're not going to stalemate, are we? Because if I take the pawn, they will still have one legal move. Okay, I just had to make sure. I guess it also could have gone over here. And now, is this checkmate? No, because it can go back to where it just was. Or further down. Okay, let's check here, and then maybe down there. I guess I kind of want it to take those pawns, so I'm going to check, let it take the pawns. The pawns are in my way if it chooses to hide behind them, but it chose not to hide behind them. So let's check here, let it take that one, and then we'll check here. I probably had a faster way of doing that, but I'm not sure what it was. So let us take this rook all the way over there, and we're going to try to checkmate the king here on this file. Take this rook all the way down there, and again, Going over to the A file here, and now the king can move up or down, and then this is mate. Okay, not too bad. I'm not going to use a game review in this game because it was fairly easy once the bot just started throwing away pieces. I am going to add to the library or archive. Wait, I forgot what the library is, but archive is the one that I want, even though it's now called game history. And I always go over here and check to make sure that it got in there. And you can see I've had a bunch of losses in Rapid lately. That's why the score on my front screen was low. Maybe the lowest it's been since I started this channel. All right, back to the main bots page here. We're going to move up to the driver rated 850. Again, the computer wanted me to play as black, but I'm going to switch to white this time. I don't know why it always defaults to one of the colors that I didn't want. And it never defaults to let the computer choose the colors at random because that's what I always set it to, but I decided to give up on that. All right, this is the Anglo-Indian version of the English opening Queen's Knight variation. Well, that's the normal. Okay, never mind. I need to learn to not be distracted by oddities there. Now we're in the King's Indian Defense normal variation. Well, I guess I'll push this pawn and fianchetto here. Like so, and hope that they push their B pawn, but they probably won't. Oh, they moved the rook up. Okay. I think I can go ahead and push my E pawn, and I can put the knight on either one of those two squares in castle, or I can put the bishop here and aim it at the rook. Maybe we can get something like this going. Oh, the king has moved. Okay, let's go ahead and see if that rook wants to go back where it was while I'm also taking more space. Okay, the rook did go back. This pawn is still defended by my knight. So let's see. I want to put my knight here and maybe try to work its way into the middle somehow. Oh, okay. I have a lot of human opponents that do this too. Every time I put this bishop here, and I'm never sure whether to defend it or move it, or in this case, I could pin it. Is that any good? But then the king will move. No. Then they'll push this pawn, but then I'll take that pawn. I don't know. That's probably okay. Oh, well, let's take the free knight first. Oh, I'm in check. Forgot about check. I was going to take that later after I got the free knight, but yeah, let's take that first and then take the knight. Oh, I want to do en passant here too, but I also want the free knight, which is check. So we're going to have to let that pawn go for now. And now I'm a piece ahead, so I don't know if I want to trade off for that bishop or not, because it hasn't moved yet, right? I've been told it's a bad idea to trade off a piece that's moved multiple times, right? I've moved this twice already, and they haven't moved their bishop yet. Let's put it back in here, and we'll stay a piece ahead. Okay, that knight has given itself away. I will take it. And then, yes, I'm going to castle. Is that all right? Let's castle. And the queen has moved over one. I think this bot might be playing worse than the last one, but because of the opening I chose, I'm having a hard time getting through there. I need to figure out a way through there, and I think it's going to be with pawns. So let's maybe start doing the pawns here since the king has migrated. All right, they do want to trade off the bishop now. Okay, we did that. I'm going to go back to my pawn plan, but wait, that pawn's doubled. If I come up here and it takes and I take, then they've undoubled that pawn and got rid of one of mine. Oh my. But you know what? I'm pieces ahead, so I think that's going to be okay. See if they'll take. They did not. Well, let's see. If I take that and they take back, then their rook is open toward my king, but I think that's okay. But it's also okay if they take me. So I'm going to take this first, and I'm going to take more. I'm going to take that one too. That's check, so they have to respond to it. Like that is okay. Maybe let's put this bishop here, which is pointed at that pawn, and my queen is also pointed at that pawn. Should I take with the bishop or the queen? If I take with the bishop will cut this off, and my queen is kind of seeing those two squares, so it probably won't go there, so they'll give them basically three choices. If I take with my queen, I think they end up with the same three choices. So I don't know what the advantage would be. I'm going to take with my bishop, which is check, and it moved back. I don't know if that was best or not, and I'm going to lock the bishop in here, I think. Yeah, let's lock that bishop in there. Okay, the rook is coming. What's the rook going to do? I want to line my rook up with their queen in case this pawn ever has to go someplace. Like now, I'm going to move that pawn, see if they want to move they did want to move their queen. Okay. I can double check here from my queen with a discovered check and my rook defending the bishop. I don't know. That's probably not any good. I could also go here, but wait, then no, they wouldn't do that. But if they move the queen out of the way, I'll get the rook. Wait, are they aiming at anything? They're aiming at a free pawn. Should I just take that pawn? Yeah, let's just take that pawn while we're at it, and I assume they'll take back. Okay. And now I think they want to try to break this open. So I'm thinking about maybe playing h4, but that might be too slow. I might need to just go after their king. Actually, I can go after their king like I was talking about a second ago. And no, that was... Oh, for a second I thought it was a mistake because they could take with the rook this time, but they couldn't because the queen also had them in check. Okay, and then I'm going to put this bishop over here, which was my idea, so they can't push that h-pawn anymore. Oh no! The rook has attacked my queen. I think I'm going to put a stop to that by going right here with my rook, which pins their rook to their king. And not sure what that was about, but I'm going to take this with check. And then they take there and I take here. And now I'm way ahead. So that was the idea, trading off those, the queen and the rook, because I have 2 extra pieces. So what we need to do is get this knight moving. Right in there is where I want to put it right now. That rook's not going anywhere. Let's check. And now this knight's locked in. And then we're going to put the rook over here, trying to come down to their 7th rank, like so. And where can the king go now? Down there. Do I have any mates? No, I don't, because of their rook. Wait. Oh, I can't move my bishop because of my own pawn in the way. But you know what? What if I come get rid of this pawn? Where's that going? Not sure. Let's get rid of this pawn. Their rook is having trouble deciding what to do. But now I'm going to move this pawn, and then I can check with my bishop. Like this. The king can come up there, and I can check this way. Now it's going to hide in the corner, I'm guessing. Wait, are they going to try to do a stalemate? So like, if I move this pawn up one, then they're going to check me, force me to take it, and then it'll be a stalemate? Because they can't move if I move the a pawn. That might have been the plan. Although I wouldn't have to take the rook. I could just get out of check. So it wouldn't be a stalemate. But I want to avoid that, so I'm not going to move the a pawn. Let's put this bishop here to help protect the pawn, because the pawn was protecting the knight, but it wasn't protected itself. Can't check here, but I can't get to the back rank, which is where I want to check. There's got to be a way out of here. Let's figure this out. Well, I can come get this pawn. Let me try that. I'm going to try to come get this pawn. Wait, is the king going to protect it? The king went to protect it. Okay, well then it's a good thing I protected this pawn, but I can check. Now I can check with the a pawn. Let me do that. Check with the a pawn. Now they have to leave the defense of their c pawn, but oh, they couldn't take the a pawn because the knight was guarding it. Okay, I'm going to take their c pawn. It's not going to be a stalemate because they have legal moves even if they gave away the rook. I can check here now. Let me check there with the knight. I could go back and check, or I could come down here and check with the knight. The pawn is still defended by the bishop. Whoa, this isn't a stalemate. No, because they can still move the king a couple different places like that. You get this out of the way, and then I'm going to get this out of the way with a check probably like so. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to bring my king. I'm going to try to checkmate them over there. Let them do that and keep bringing my king. They have to go there. I can trap them further. Yeah, okay, I'm trapping them on those 2 ranks over there, and let's see, that pawn's coming toward me, so this is a safe square. Now their king is trapped on those few squares there. I'm going to bring my king, because I can't do the normal checkmate because that pawn's there. Let's see, let's put the rook down here, and then I can check this way. I think their only legal move now, well, they could have moved the king up, but they didn't, so I'm going to check with the rook, which forces the king over 1. Yeah, that because of that pawn, I wasn't able to do it over there on the A file, so I'm going to have to do it back here somehow. And to do that, I need to move my king back, leave them a legal move, and then bring the rook down like this, and put it over here. Now I can bring my king and checkmate them on the A file. I mean, sorry, on the 1st rank. I've just followed them until they line up with my king. They have to go back now because of my bishop, and that's checkmate. Okay. 65 moves. Okay, it was difficult for me to finish that bot off, obviously, but it was easier to get ahead than last month's middle bot. Back in April, I played the 2nd bot for so long before I had any idea that I was ahead or had a way to get ahead. This one I got ahead fairly early. I don't even think I need to run the game review, but I don't really have time to play the 3rd one, so I'm going to go ahead and run the game review. Just to see if, if I was correct, that I went ahead fairly early and stayed there. Yeah, although I almost, okay, I went back to even here at one point. I want to check that one spot. Let's check where I went ahead, which was about here. When the king moved forward, I was supposed to play e5, but I played d5. Oh, either one is fine. So, okay, so it was the king moving that put me ahead that far, and d5 got a great move mark, even though it looks like it's not quite as good as e5. And then rook to a8 actually was the best move. Nope, c5 was the best move. If they had played c5, I would have taken with en passant. It says, well, I sure would have, because that would have been a check and left my bishop pointed at their rook. So I don't know why c5's the best move. Rook to a8 should have, I mean, that seems best to me because now my bishop's not pointed at the rook anymore. But now I should have played e5. Okay, so this is where I gave away my advantage. I only had the advantage if I played e5 here. And it says they wouldn't have taken it. It says they would have played knight to h5. Okay, but why wouldn't they take it? It says they're going to move the knight. Why wouldn't they take this? Because then I can play queen to a4 check. They can block with b5. Of course they can. So why am I ahead? Nobody knows? Do I know? I don't. Oh, because I can take that. And if they take back, I get their... No, I don't get their rook. I could, but it would be better not to. It'd be better just to take here and check. And then they have to block with this pawn. And then I would take with check. And they would not take with the knight. Why not? Oh, because my bishop's guarding that square and that would be mate. So they would move their king up to e6. And then I would threaten their queen. And the queen would get out of the threat. And then I would play rook to d1, which threatens their queen. And they would play g5. Or take my pawn. g5 is gone now. They might take my pawn. They might play knight to a6. Okay, why wouldn't they play bishop to this place here? Bishop to a6. Because I've figured out that the queen can't get out of that spot now. But why wouldn't they threaten mine? Because I would play bishop to h3 check. They would have to block with the knight. And instead of taking the knight... No, I could... Okay, it's moved up to the first move. First it was saying that go here first, but either one is 6 point something. Okay, so I could just take the queen with the rook. If they take... I was going to say if they take with the king, but that's not one of their top two moves. I'm guessing it would be like mate in one if they did that. They would take with their pawn, and then I would come over here, and now my queen's not in danger anymore. Oh my goodness. If I had just played e5 here. And if they had taken, but they wouldn't have taken, it says. If I'd played e5, it says they wouldn't have taken, they would have moved away with their knight, and I would have checked over here with queen to a4, and they would block, and I would take, and they would get the knight out. And how would I be ahead? Sorry. They blocked, I take, I'm up +4, they're going to take here, then I'm going to play knight to d5 in there. Their best move is to take the free pawn, okay? Well, I get that, so they take the free pawn, then I'm going to check here. They're going to go back. And then I'm going to take the rook. Okay. Because that was a fork. And their best move is to take my b2 pawn. It's not my best move to move the rook. My best move is bishop to b6, which is there. That's my best move. They're going to move their queen. And then I get my rook out of danger. And I'm just up +4. Well, that was two different series of moves if I had played e5, depending on whether they took or whether they moved the knight. So it went down two different lines, one a little further than the other one, and eventually on both lines it became clearer why and how I would be ahead. And I have played human opponents at about my level that probably would have played e5 here, but I doubt they would have seen all those implications that we just saw going down those lines. I think they would have played e5 here, hoping to just break this open since the king has moved itself into the middle. I mean, I don't think anyone at my level would have been able to see all the way out like we just saw. Okay, so this was just part of my normal development, but it was a problem. Now I'm only up +2, and they definitely should have come after that bishop that like we talked about during the game right now, but they did. That was their best move. Okay, so they did that, and it was a miss to pin it. Okay, so that's where I went back to even. It was a mistake to pin that. I should have just moved this up here. Bishop to d4 or back to the home square. Okay, so this set us back to almost even, and that's only if they put the king back though. But they didn't put the king back. They took the knight. Oh, wow, I didn't realize it would be that stark of a difference. Huge difference, whether I take with the knight or the pawn. Because I almost took with the pawn during the game because I was talking, and I almost did that. Why is it such a big difference? Is doubling the pawns really that messed up? Okay, well, I'm glad I took with the knight then, but I don't understand why it's such a big difference. And they definitely should have played f5 to protect the knight, which I kind of thought that they would, or h5. I think a human might have played h5 here. I think I might have played h5 here if I'd got my knight trapped, but I never hop my knight in here for no reason. I know Stockfish has told me to several times, but I never do because I never can see the benefit of it. But if I had hopped it in there, or if, somebody had hopped it in there and then said, hey, take over this game, I gotta run, I probably would protect it at this point. Not with f5. I don't understand why you would protect it with f5, which gets taken. Or for that matter, I'd take the knight and divert that pawn, and then, I don't know. But H5 makes sense. I don't know why the computer didn't play it. Was it a good idea? It was okay. I hesitated here with the en passant. That would have been okay. That was another thing that I wanted to know. Would it have been okay to take that with check? Because I still would have been able to take the knight. Oh my. Why didn't I realize that? Because I would take it with check. It would help them get a piece out, but then I'm going to get this either way. Even if they, oh wait, what if they took with their king? Then their knight's protected. Oh, it says I should, because I have 2 pieces pointed at the knight. That should have been a little bit more obvious to me. Well, if you made it this far, I do appreciate you spending your time here. I appreciate those of you that have subscribed, as well as those of you who haven't subscribed but watch anyway. Thank you. Even more, I appreciate those of you who leave helpful comments, encouraging comments. I don't appreciate the ones where you say how bad I am at chess. That's pretty obvious. I'm working on it, and I'll see you next time.